Greetings, petrolheads. Welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Before we get deeper into this episode, I'd like to ask you guys, what racing game should I play on Thursday from now on? Because I'm kind of done with project cars, as you may have noticed, and I've bought and I've tried Assetto Corsa before you mentioned that, and I have two main problems with Assetto Corsa. One, half of the cars are only available through DLCs, and the DLCs are not cheap. Two, cars don't seem like they want to turn for some reason. All of the cars I've tried have understeered badly, especially the E92 M3, which is a pretty damn agile car for its size. Like, you gotta admit. I've seen a German car magazine that on its performance test it always does a slalom, right? With I don't know what the distance between the cone is. I think 18 meters. In any case, the M3 did that slalom faster, boys, than a Porsche 997 GT3, and that's saying something. So, and that agility does not appear to be the case at all in Assetto Corsa. And then if I try to, reduce front tire pressure and whatnot, try to make some changes to the setup to make it less understeery, well, then it's just floating all over the place, not just completely lost all traction and stability and everything. Well, I might just drive back home to my parents and get a copy of Need for Speed Carbon that I still have lying around there, because now I live in an apartment with my best friend, and I forgot to take that with me. In any case, I'm gonna do some more tutorials here. Right, we did sport and super sport naturally aspirated engines already. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to copy this guy and make a sport turbo engine. For that, now turbos do produce a lot more torque than naturally aspirated engines, especially depending on the boost pressure you're getting, and usually with a smaller displacement engine. If you want to have a sporty engine, you're going to want a lot of boost pressure. So we take forged steel for now. We can always change that later if we need more strength on the crank. Compression needs to go down a lot. Let's take it down to 10 for now. Turbocharger, and we are gonna go for a ball bearing and for a water to air medium intercooler. Seems like the intercooler is restricting airflow for some reason. Yeah, we have too large of a turbine and too large of a compressor. So generally, I think I've said this before, but you wanna, if you have a red line of 8,000 RPM, you wanna make it so your turbo spools up at 4,000 at latest. That's like the latest point where you wanna have your turbo spool up. Also, it is pretty difficult to have both a flat torque curve and a flat power plateau at the end with a turbo engine, but you can achieve it. It's possible. I am gonna decrease the compression by a little bit, and also the cam profile by a few points. And now I am going to increase the boost pressure, because what the boost pressure does for me is it basically makes it so we have more mid-range, and then the torque drops off a little bit, making the power curve at the peak and a little bit flatter. Like, we get a little bit more of a usable power band at the end, as you see right there. It's barely visible here, but I can't do much about that. I'm still not quite convinced of the setup though. How much power are we going for? 250 horsepower? I'm decreasing the compressor size, by the way, which, as you can see, it lifts up the torque in the later or in the mid-range RPMs a little bit, but drops it off on the higher RPMs. So we made a net loss of power here, but that is totally okay because now we can increase the AR ratio. There we go. Now, while the peak torque now is at like 5,300 RPM, our turbo will kick in at 3,400 RPM, which is why we already make more than 90% of the max torque. So that is something to definitely consider. Like between 3,300, 3,400 and 7,000 RPM we have a nice plateau, which is not quite even, but you know, good enough. And 250 horsepower for a 1.8 liter turbo is certainly enough, I would say, for a sporty but not super sporty engine. So this is the wait, what did I call the others? So this is the Turbo Sport. Now I'm going to clone this guy. And now we're going to go for Super Sport. For that we are probably going to need lightweight forged pistons, because we are going to rev it higher. Okay, now for a 1.8 liter, I think we are going to decrease this a little bit, up the stroke slightly, because valve float is occurring more if your bore is a lot higher than your stroke. So you gotta get those a little bit closer to each other. 84.5. Well, it didn't seem to do all that much, did it? In any case, now we can go a lot harder on the AR ratio and on the compressor size, because now we can afford to make the power a lot later. What this also means is that we're gonna decrease our compression by quite a bit, because we will also increase the max boost. What worries me a little bit is that we only have access here to medium air intercoolers, air to air and water to air, which gets me thinking, like, do we get bigger ones if we increase both of them to max size? No. Okay, so this is a slight problem. This means that small engines are not designed to be heavily turbocharged. What this basically means is we're losing some efficiency and possibly some reliability. We're making 290 horsepower right now. Like, this torque curve is just it's just so flat in the mid ranges. Starting These are the Conrads. This is no longer an issue. And the extra RPM actually didn't do very much for us. Now we're at 295 RPM. 295 horsepower, excuse me. 295 RPM would be a little bit low, don't you think? Also, we should definitely like increase the fuel mixture for a super sport engine. How much power are we looking for? 320? I mean, 300 is already quite a lot for a 1.8 liter. You gotta admit. Increase this by just a little bit more. 13.5. What if we put in a performance intake? 314. 317. 316. 317. Man, we're making a peak torque so late. But 318, 319, 320. So it's 320 horsepower out of a 1.8. Oh, it's a 2 liter now. Yeah, I maxed it out. Out of a 2 liter, it's not that impressive anymore, right? 320 horsepower out of a 2 liter turbo engine. I mean, screw it. I'm gonna go harder. I'm gonna show you how to tune an engine so you would get like 400 horsepower out of a 2 liter turbo, just like on the Evo 8 FQ400. Let's go with the most expensive parts here. We can afford it. It's only a 4-cylinder engine. Right. Richer fuel mixture. More boost, like definitely more boost. And lower compression. How far can we go? 1.4 bars is already quite a lot, and this is like super restrictive now. I would love to have a large intercooler, but it's, you know, you can always get what you want. 347 horsepower, 380 newton meters already. That is quite a lot. Also, we are now going to increase the turbine size. There's 350, if that's a number anybody was looking forward to. Increase the AR ratio quite a lot, because that is... Actually, it's not helping anymore. 1.1 is pretty much as far as we should go. Let's increase the max RPM just a little bit. Also, we're gonna now increase the cam profile. $371, getting closer to our goal. 376, 377, 380. This does not seem to help anymore. Go for a bigger exhaust. 382, 383. Yeah, we've kind of reached our limit here. But we can always increase the cam profile. Well, always, unless we're already at 100. 395, 396, 397, 400. There it is. So that is our 400 horsepower 2 liter turbo engine. it does not reach its max boost before halfway of the through the RPM range, so it's kind of laggy, especially when you're just setting off. But there's definitely enough RPM range that if you're going hard, if you rev it out and then you shift, you'll definitely end up somewhere in the power band, somewhere where the turbo is already spooled up. So that is the Super Turbo. You can of course go even harder than this. I mean, I have a model that has a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4 engine and makes 510 horsepower. So there's definitely more possible. Somebody made a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4 that makes like over 600 horsepower. So it is possible, but for now this is definitely, we're talking about road cars, right? We're talking about street cars, sports cars. This is pretty much as far as you want to go, because otherwise if you're gonna go for even more boost, even more power out of this little capacity, then you're gonna end up with a torque curve that looks like this. It goes flat, nothing, and there it goes. And that's the end of the rev range or something. That's about well, not in, or rather you have like nothing. There it goes, and then there's the end of the rev range. That is pretty much how your torque curve looks when you're going for like 600 horsepower or 700 horsepower, even if that's possible, out of 2 liters. So it's not really recommended. Anyway, hope you guys learned something from this. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.